Hey guys, this episode of Loud Podcast is proudly sponsored by Smooth My Balls, a company dedicated to making sure your balls are clean, smooth, and attractive. They specialize in razors, manscaping equipment, anything to keep your down there looking nice, looking tight. That tight, pat, 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 cork. Anyways, use the link down below. You get 20% off using this link for your first purchase. And if you use this link, it also benefits us too. So please, if you're looking to make your balls tidy or your package tidy or, impress a lady, make sure you do it with Smooth My Balls and make sure you purchase all your tools through that link. It'll be in the description as well. Anyways, on to the podcast.
Or as God is my witness, I will put you through that fucking wall!
We're outside, genius! There is no wall!
Then I will build one, and I will fucking put you through it!
Hello, and welcome to Loud, an alternative music podcast, episode 1.5. That's right, not quite 2, not quite 1, 1.5. The reason for that is because we don't have a guest this week, so we thought we'd do a special episode. This is my co-host, by the way, Codey.
What's going on? Yo, hey, bro.
How you going, man? I'm your host,
Pretty good.
Tomye West. And yeah, as I said, this is my co-host, Codey. He's a singer in my band, as we've spoken about last week. So this is a special episode we're going to do, which is our top 10 albums, personal, like favorite albums that our top 10 personal favorite albums, basically. And there's not much to it. We're just going to run through from 10 to 1, taking it in turns each, about what our favorite albums are. I didn't really put much thought into it. There's probably albums I like better in my list, but the main thing to think about is that the top 5 albums in my list are definitely my top 5s. So, anyways, before we get started, how you going, Codey?
I'm good, dude. It was hard to figure out 10 albums because you have to span like your whole life. So like,
yeah, it's hard, man, because there was albums I was thinking about, and I was like, I listened to it, and it was one of the biggest influences on my life. But at the same time, I don't listen to it anymore, and I probably couldn't put it in my favorite albums of all time. But it did shape me as a person. Like, for example, Slipknot's self-titled album, Slipknot. It should have probably been in my top 10, but it was so influential for me. But I decided to just stick to what albums I can go back and listen to now and love like non-stop. So, yeah.
How old were you, do you reckon, when that album came out? Can you remember?
I was in grade 5. So
yeah, right. Yeah.
Primary school, I used to wear a Slipknot t-shirt with khaki-coloured fucking pants and a fucking khaki jacket over it. And used to think I was a mad dog, but terrible.
Like I got into heavy music like really late. Like maybe not really late, but probably around like year 9 or year 10. Yep. So when I was in year 5, I'm pretty sure I was like the first albums I ever bought was Jack Johnson, In Between Dreams. You know that album?
Yep.
It's like yellow cover. And Coldplay, X and Y. And also I got 3 at the same time. These are the 3 albums I first bought ever. And then I got Stadium Arcadium by Chili's.
Oh, cool. Well, I think my first album was Prodigy, Fat of the Land.
Prodigy, heck yeah.
And then it was like Korn, self-titled.
Yeah.
Life is Peachy. Which was the second Korn album. Friends Will Rom. I can't remember what it was called, but it was the one with the McDonald's sign on the front that had been ruined with all the buildings and shit, and it had punch in the face on it and shit.
I haven't listened to too much Frenzal, but they're from Brisbane, so a lot of people from back home like froth them.
I love Frenzal Rum.
They played Soundwave like a few years ago.
Dude, they played Big Day Out heaps, man. I saw it at Big Day Out 05.
Yeah.
And they played awesome songs like Russell Crowe's band's a fucking pile of shit, and Bucket Bong, which is a great song. And Parasite, and they played some sick songs, man.
That's dope. That's
they
cool.
have some funny songs, man. Like I love Guns Don't. Is it Guns Don't? No, Guns Don't Kill Ducklings. Ducklings Kill Ducklings. I think that might be it. I'm not sure, but yeah, they're a funny ass band, man. Bucket Bong's a hilarious song, and I do love Russell Crowe's band. It's a fucking pile of shit. So,
and also I forget his name, the Doctor from Triple J. He plays in that band.
Jay and the Doctor, yeah. Jay played in it. Jay and the Doctor. So it was Jay the singer, and the Doctor was the guitarist.
Yeah,
Lindsay. I think you might. That could be wrong, but I feel like his name is Lindsay, but I have no idea. And yeah, what else has been happening anyway during the week, man?
Oh, bro, lockdown. I hate to talk about it, but like nothing, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, it's been the same with me, man. Been exactly the same with me.
Pretty much. Yeah,
but,
it's why it's good that we can catch up now and sort of like, I don't know, do something in lieu of like actually doing something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is kind of why I started it, you know, like it was like while we're in lockdown, the band's a bit stuck, you know, like we should do something else. And also I'm trying to like dip my toes into a bit of everything that I want to do, which is music, film, podcasting, whatever, you know what I mean? I was even talking to my director of photography, Peter, today about my next drum video, but also we're going to start, once lockdown's over, pre-production on my short film called The Last Steps to Nowhere. So
nice.
Yeah, that'll be really cool.
I remember you telling me when we were chatting a few weeks ago. I was saying to you like, because I work full time, and I remember saying to you that it's crazy how you keep so motivated to do like whether it's film or music or this or like whatever it is. You've always got something to do, and you're like, man, I'm gonna do whatever I can to never get a real job, basically. And
yeah, well, that's basically it, man. Is that like I could look? None of this, to be honest, none of this brings me money. Like, this podcast doesn't bring me money. Obviously, it's fresh, it's new. No, we're not making any money. We've got no sponsors, no nothing. Yeah. The band doesn't bring me money. It costs more money than it does, you know. My endorsement shit doesn't bring me in any money. It does give me advantages and perks, obviously. But like, I don't have a solid income at the moment, man, and that's been me for my entire life because music has been what I want to do, and I refuse to get a full-time job. And then, because if I get a full-time job, there's not a chance that this podcast would keep going. There's not a chance that I would be as dedicated to the band. There's not a chance that I'd want to build something else for myself because I'd just be too fucked from work all the time, man. And
you probably wouldn't be as happy anyway because, like, you know, it was weird. I was watching Steve-O's podcast, Wild Ride, the other day, and Tony Hawk was on it, and he said basically exactly the same thing. He was talking about when he was younger and stuff like that. And, you know, he'd have to film skate videos with his friends and stuff for like 16, 17 and try and send them out and send heaps out and no one would ever get back to him. But he was saying the same thing, you know, is like, as soon as I get a real job, that's when I give up, basically. That's what he was saying.
It's true, man. It's true, basically. That's when I give up, is when I get a full-time job because, man, I have lasted since I was 17 on fuck all money. And yeah, it's not ideal some fortnights. Some fortnights I struggle. Some fortnights I don't. But to me, when I was working, I was much less happy making money than just sitting in and doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
and
for
I
sure.
just look at it like, man, what I do, even if it doesn't bring me much money, if it doesn't bring me financial gain, it does bring me a self-satisfaction, and it does make me feel like I'm at least fulfilling some part of what
Well,
I
yeah.
want to do. So
There's a lot of self-satisfaction in being self-made for sure, because you just like
exactly
did what you said you're going to go do, you know.
I mean, I could go get a shitty factory job. No offense to anyone that works a factory job. No offense to anyone that works tough retail, whatever. But I could go, because I've done it all. But I could go do retail. I worked at the same place you work at.
Actually, yeah, you did.
I was top salesperson all the time, which we're talking about cash converters, by the way. I was top salesperson all the time. I was making $1,600 to $1,800 a day that I worked by selling fucking
For the company, not for you, for the company.
not for me, just for the company. Like I'd sell a TV, a guitar, a watch, something else in one day, but the TV, the guitar, everything would add up. And it was always because I was the one person that would be like, well, as soon as someone comes in the store, I would be like, hey, how are you? If you need a hand, come grab me. I can give you a hand. And I was the only person that did that, which meant that no one else, they didn't feel comfortable with anyone else instantly. They already felt that comfort with me. So they came in and asked me for their help. And that's the reason I did so well at my job, man, was because I'm good at doing those things. I'm even good at factory jobs, but I don't want to do that. And I could turn around tomorrow and go, I should get a factory job and get one because it's that easy. So it's like, why would I waste my time now trying to get something like that when that's not going to fulfill me? It's just going to give me more money. And no offense, but it is true. More money, more problems. When I was working at Aldi, I was getting paid monthly when I worked at Aldi. And I was making, this is 12, 13 years ago. I was working at Aldi and I was making $2,600 a month in one pay. So I'd get $2,600 in one paycheck. And because I was like young at the time and $2,600 a month, like
it's really hard to budget that out. Like you gotta split that in four straight away.
And I was a drug addict, which bring me more problems. I didn't have more money ever. I spent more money and was still broke the same amount of time that I would have been if I didn't get that money. You know what I mean? So I just look at it like the less money I have to spend, the kind of better I manage it, man, because it's more I have to think about, more I have to take into account, which means I don't just willingly spend on bullshit. Only buy what I want or need. And like shit that I have bought that's expensive, like my PS5, my TV, my drum kit. My drum kit, with my cymbals and with my snares and everything was like $5,000. My car was $4,000. My fucking TV, my PlayStation was fucking $700. And it's like,
but even then, it's not just like blowing money on shit for the sake of it. It's like stuff that you're investing in. And
it's also stuff that I sold. I sold stuff to get that. Meaning, like I had like Pokemon cards. I sold them for $3,500, $4,000, and I bought shit with it.
Really?
Yeah, I got given a $5,500 Sony FS700R 4K film camera, like huge one in a big fucking road case and everything, like a professional camera. And
anyway,
I sold that too.
That's another conversation entirely. But your Pokemon collection, were they ones that you had like from a kid?
No.
Like obviously ones that you pick up.
They weren't. I decided to go back to getting my collection. Like I swear my collection's somewhere, but I don't know where. I just found my Tarzo collection, and I got all the fucking Simpsons Tarzos. And no joke, like
it's so dope finding stuff that you like forgot you had as a kid. That Tarzo collection's sick. How did you I guess Tarzos were probably a little bit before my time.
Interesting fact quickly. I found out that this Tarzo, Bart Simpson, Mooning, is now one that was banned, apparently.
Really?
People are selling them for like $150 on the internet, man. And I was like, I know I've got that. And I found it.
That's awesome.
Anyways, we got a couple of things to talk about news-wise this week. Let me just pull up my news fandangle machine. It's a pretty fucking state-of-the-art machine.
You mean the media?
Yeah, it's just a state-of-the-art machine that tells me all the news, man. And the crazy thing about it is, man, that it's like no one knows about it, but it's just called Google.
Oh yeah, I think someone mentioned it to me once.
Yeah. It's like Yahoo.
Ask Jeeves, man. Do you remember Ask Jeeves?
Yeah. Well, you only use DuckDuckGo if you're a sketchy dog. But anyways,
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
let's start with story number 1, and that is UNIFY Festival for 2022.
Mm-hmm.
With the lineup being,
Yeah, let me look it up.
I'm looking it up right now. The Amity Affliction, Violent
Sick.
Soho,
Nice.
Alpha Wolf, Banks Arcade, Bloom, Bugs, Dream on Dreamer, Grave Mind.
Hey, yeah, boy.
Then we got Ocean Grove,
Yes.
Pride Lands, Red Hook, Short Stack,
Hey, Pride Lands.
Starve, Stepson,
I know a
Teenage
dude
Jones.
from Pride Lands.
Yeah.
Stepson. Yeah, I know a dude from Pride Lands. I know dudes from Stepson as well. I met dudes from Stepson from the guy that I know in Pride Lands. Anyway,
Cool.
what's going on, DJ? If you're listening,
Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers, Thornhill to Octavia, our friends in the Last Martyr,
hey, the boys.
Wax, Wild Heart, and yours truly. And it says that there's going to be more to be announced soon.
Pretty sick lineup.
It's a good lineup, man. Personally, like, look, I admit it, I'm a bit old. I'm a bit out of the realm of like picking up on new bands pretty quickly and shit.
Me too as well, to be honest.
So to me, like, like the main ones that I'm looking at are like Amity Affliction, Violent Soho, Alpha Wolf, Dream on Dreamer.
Yeah. Gravemind is sick, man.
Ocean Grove.
Give them a listen. Gravemind are pretty cool.
Thornhill, The Last Martyr. They're like the ones that I'm looking at the most. I don't really know much about Bloom. I don't know much about Pride Lands. Short Stack, I knew of shit that they did back in the day, but I don't know much now.
This guy Pliny looks pretty cool. Pliny is an independent solo artist from Sydney, Australia. He composes, plays guitar, records, produces, and manages his unique brand of instrumental progressive rock, all from a home studio.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
I'm just reading up about that Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers because I'd never heard of them, and they look interesting. And it says they're a Riot Girl... What? Okay. Riot Girl era energy with a 2021 spin. Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers are the most natural, unapologetic, and damn likable punk rockers you'll meet. So they're a punk rock band.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
All girl punk man from Canberra.
It seems like it's a very...
They play Groove in the Moo.
I mean, compared to UNIFY usually, it's a pretty Australian heavy lineup because I'm guessing of COVID and COVID and shit. So I'm guessing that's because like UNIFY a few years back was Under Oath as headliners and shit. So
absolutely, yeah.
I'm guessing that this is who we got for the lineup. The Amity Affliction being the headliners. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't think things will change with COVID, but very quickly, like in time for this. But I think that if things change quickly enough, you may even see a couple of internationals even overtaking the headlining spot of Amity Affliction if things allow for it, because I do feel like the Amity Affliction are obviously a great band. I've played with them. They've got great songs, but at the same time, I do feel like they're kind of waning a little bit.
To an extent.
This is just from my personal, what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing and stuff. And I'm hearing a lot of people saying, like, they're not what they once were. Their new stuff isn't as good. But, like, dude, I'm stuck back when Chasing Ghosts came out and Youngbloods came out and stuff with them. And I still think they're fucking great albums. I hear their new shit every now and then, but I think they're still big enough to bring a crowd. I just think that as a headliner for this UNIFY Festival, I think a lot of people are a bit disappointed that that's the big name. And I get it, but I also understand that Amity Affliction are bigger than I probably am thinking as well. So
yeah, bro, yeah. Dude, Amity is sweet. I don't know, they're on my list. We haven't even got to our list.
Yeah, of course. We're just talking a little bit about the news first. We'll get into the list shortly. We're going to try not to make it too long. But
Oh, that's cool. Like Amity are on my list. They're really cool.
I love Amity,
obviously.
man. Like Youngbloods was
I'm
a
just
game
thinking
changer.
about, yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking about back in the day when they were like a full band, you know, when they'd like Ryan Burt, and even Trad Nathan, when like Severed Ties and stuff came out, they had a full band back then. They've changed a lot of members. Uh, and that was probably even around when like
See,
when Chasing Ghosts and like Let the Ocean Take Me came out. So I think they've done pretty well. Like just again, like in whatever, in terms of rotating members and stuff like that. Like obviously Aaron and Joel are the main dudes behind it.
if they weren't in
But
it wouldn't be
they
Amity
like
Affliction, you know.
absolutely they're like the heart and soul of it. But I like again, I'm not even that into them nowadays anymore. But
I do.
they brought out a couple awesome songs. It was like "Don't Wade in the Water" and
Yeah.
another song, and
That's
that
the one I've
was
heard.
yeah. And there is another sweet couple of songs they put out. But like, I guess in the grand scheme of things, to wrap up, what I'm trying to say is like in the wake of COVID and stuff like that. I don't know. I guess it's fair to say pretty much every band has waned a bit because they haven't had a chance to like play live or anything
I
like
wouldn't
that.
really say that that's true, man, with waning bands. I think that bands that have utilized this time the right way are actually coming up and have a very good a good
Foot forward.
outlook for their like futures. You know, like when you look at Under Oath, like they did their COVID streams, and reading an article from them from that about those streams. Like I'm just going to quickly look it up now to see how my figures are right. They they did a COVID stream called Observatory, and they did Define the Great Line, They're Only Chasing Safety, and what was their third album called? How can I not remember? Oh, I know Desperate Times, Desperate Measures was a song on it, but it
I,
was it was called Lost in the Sound of Separation. That's right. I don't know why I had a mind blank then. So they did those 3 albums.
I didn't
Separate
realize they did a
shows.
third one. I didn't realize they did a third one. I know
Yeah,
that
they
you
did.
showed
They
me
did.
2.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did
yeah.
3. And they said that basically they said that they made around, I think it was 800 grand
Wow.
profit. Here we go. So here we go. This is a quick recap of how much Under Oath made on their streams and what they took home, kind of thing. So they made the 3 live stream shows grossed a total of $800,000, $266,000 per show, including tickets, merch, and vinyl sales.
Wow.
Estimated all expenses, including production, sound lights, camera view, venue, crew travel, broadcast series fees, whatever. The management's cut to be between 230 240 grand, which would left the band left each band member walking away with between 12 to 15,000 in their pockets every show. So 3 shows, they all walked away with roughly $45,000 each.
Wow.
And they were awesome shows. They were really successful. They I watched them all. You can buy them on vinyl and shit at the moment too. So they've done really well for themselves. So as I said, bands in that genre, bands like we're talking about, if they've utilized COVID well, they should be fine. Falling in Reverse, I think, are a classic band that has not. Look, personally, I don't like their soft stuff, the remakes of their songs, their masters of Drug and Me Is You and I'm Not a Vampire. I don't like them.
When did they put those out? I haven't even heard them.
Well, they're like remakes. So it's like ballads of him on piano, and there's like orchestral stuff and all that. But they did Drug and Me Is You, and then they did I'm Not a Vampire, and they're the only songs we've had released since Popular Monster. And I think that is, I don't know if it's like a plan that once COVID like lifts that they're going to like release it, because I think Ronnie looks at it like why are we going to release songs when we can't play them live? Maybe that's what I'm thinking might be going on, but I'm also not sure. It could be the fact that they had gotten lazy. Anything that Derek passed away as well, not long after Popular Monster came out.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
But then they did do their COVID live streams, and they were huge. They were I think they were like more people than what's the one in England, the venue?
It's the one you were talking about the other day.
Yeah, Muse played there. Knights of Sidonia at the.
Are you talking about Brixton?
No, the
Wembley.
Wembley. They said that there was double what Wembley fits watching the stream.
Wow. All right.
So they might have used their time more well, but I don't know. And to me, it looks like they didn't handle this break that well, because to have Popular Monster be released, 2019 maybe now? And that's the last song that really gripped me, and I was like, fuck, this song's awesome and I want more. And they haven't gotten it. So that's kind of upsetting, you know?
I just looked it up. What were you saying about Wembley again? You double the capacity or whatever?
Yeah.
What was that, the amount of people that bought that song, or what were you saying?
The amount of people that watched the live stream was Wembley two nights over or something like that.
Yeah. So that's 25,000 people.
Yeah, so they said that 25,000 plus 25,000 watching their streams. I didn't watch them because I thought they were a bit pricey and a bit expensive. I mean, for an online show, what I was paying, it was like $65. And I was like, nah,
No.
$65. Get out of here, man. I paid $15 or $20 for Under Oath. So, and I watched Fever 333 for $10.
Yeah, that would have been sweet.
All right. Anyways, that's January 2022. I'm very excited to see our friends, The Last Martyr, on that. That's awesome. And yeah, we'll keep up to date with that more with.
I went so off track. My bad. UNIFY.
Right,
yeah.
Right. I'm keeping it all together. We're going to talk about two festivals happening in America, which I just think they are the most amazing lineups I've seen like in the last 10, 15 years. So we've got the Blue Ridge Rock Festival, which is happening in Virginia on September 9th to September 12th. It's actually hosted by Steve-O from Jackass.
I didn't know that. That's dope.
On the Thursday night, it's got Breaking Benjamin, A Day to Remember, The Ghost Inside. I'm not mentioning everyone, by the way. Black Label Society, Tech Nine, POD, Hatebreed. And then Friday, it's got Rob Zombie, Limp Bizkit, Rise Against, I Prevail, Asking Alexandra, Motionless in White, Atreyu, Seven Dust, Fever 333. And then Saturday, it's got Five Finger Death Punch, Megadeth, Lamb of God, Cypress Hill, Beartooth,
holy crap,
Trivium. And then Sunday, it's got Shinedown, Papa Roach, Mastodon, Killswitch Engage, Under Oath, August Burns Red, We Came as Romans, Drowning Pool, and a bunch more. So that is a fucking stellar lineup, in my opinion. Like, massive fucking lineup.
Yeah, that's a huge lineup, man.
It's pretty. I'm pretty jealous, to be honest.
We got to start at the start because this is cool as hell. Yep. I've never heard of this festival. How did you hear about it?
I think Under Oath might have posted about it. I don't know. It might have come up on my Facebook feed or something like that. But because I look at like shows a lot, like what's coming up in shows, I'm pretty sure that I just came across it, man. And there's a couple of shows I've come across, which is what we're going to quickly talk about. Just crazy, man. Like, just crazy lineups, crazy.
I'm glad to know that like Steve-O is going to be the host, because looking at a thing like this is what it's 9th, 10th, 11th, so it's 4 days. Yep. There's massive bands on it. In the wake of COVID, I kind of like in the back of my head am thinking of like the whole Fire Festival thing.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
But I like looking at something of this scale is just it reminds me of that. But I know that this will go ahead. But freaking
Oh, and I forgot to say on that lineup is Falling in Reverse as well. Actually,
really.
I'm trying to see why it's not coming up. But what's this one? This is another one in September. This is called Rocklahoma, and it's got. Let me pull it up so it's not all fucking pixelated. 1 second. I could barely read the bands on the lineup. So it's got Rob Zombie, Slipknot. It's got Limp Bizkit, Falling in Reverse, Anthrax, Motionless in White, Seven Dust, Puddle of Mud, Andrew WK. I'm looking at other ones that I'm trying to see if I know anyone else. That's another one. But and then there's one more music festival that's crazy, and it's called Aftershock.
It's called it like festivals are being planned again. Definitely.
Yeah, it is. Aftershock Festival is in. Where's this? This is in. I can't. It says Sacramento, California. Oh, here we go. October 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th at Discovery Park. Friday night is Metallica, Rancid, Live, Skillet, Suicidal Tendencies, and a bunch more. Saturday is My Chemical Romance, The Offspring, Machine Gun Kelly, Killswitch Engage, Asking Alexandra, Atreyu, and a bunch more. Sunday is Metallica as headliners again. Then it's Rise Against, Mastodon, Pennywise, Black Veil Brides, Steel Panther, Yellow Wolf, and a bunch more. And then the next one is Limp Bizkit, Parkway Drive, Testament, Hatebreed, Exodus, Knocked Loose, and Fit for a King.
Those are some big names, bro.
Yeah, so like there's some pretty dope festivals that are going to be happening. And I remember seeing another one somewhere, but I just couldn't find it after like searching today.
I wish I lived in the US. Really.
Yeah, me too, man.
Maybe not right now because like
I don't think we're going to get a lot for a while.
They're way more fucked with COVID than we are. But
yeah, well, you know,
to be able to go to a festival would be good.
Oh, dude, it would be killer. Like that's why UNIFY Festival. Like I'm really I'm really stoked that it's like been announced, but I'm also like worried for finding out that it's gonna get delayed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This is a pretty weird this is a pretty weird lineup. The 26th annual American Music Festival at Virginia Beach Ocean Front on September 2nd. We've got 311 live. Dashboard Confessional. Jesus, I have not heard Dashboard Confessional, their name, in years. But yeah, so that's just a few of the festivals we wanted to talk about, just because they're like the first big festivals after COVID, and they're pretty like noteworthy as well. They're like giant lineups. So yeah, that was one piece of news, and yeah, we'll quickly skim over the rest of the news because there's not much. It's just couple of things I read. So we've got Slipknot are now taking over as the headlines for Rockville. Welcome to Rockville, which is in 2021 apparently. So it's in November. 9 Inch Nails pulled out as the headliner, and Slipknot have taken over. The headline, the show also features Metallica, Disturbed, A Day to Remember, Cypress Hill, Spirit Box, Social Distortion, Ice Nine Kills, The Offspring, Gua, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Falling in Reverse, Mudvayne, Sleeping with Sirens, Dance Gavin Dance. So it's another noteworthy one happening at the end of the year too in America.
Hell
Pretty
yeah.
crazy. Pretty crazy. So yeah, Slipknot are taking over, as headliners for that. The other bit of news we got is Pixels, a band, cancelled their fall 2021 tour over COVID concerns, which is just a headline I'm going to read, not much else. And here's a main story I want to quickly talk about, which is Insane Clown Posse's Violent J suffering from heart failure and announces farewell tour. So basically, Violent J from Insane Clown Posse has been suffering heart failure, which is a weird thing to say, like, I'm having heart failure and we're having our farewell tour next year. Like, I thought if you are suffering from something like heart failure, it would maybe prevent you from performing this year even.
Be hard to like plan something in the future, knowing that. Yeah, fair.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing, man. Like, it's really weird. Find the audio portion of our podcast on SoundCloud, which is at www.soundcloud.com/loudaltpod. Now, I'm saying it with breaks in between, loud alt pod, because when I tried to pre-record an ad for this and I said it all in one go, I fucked it up. So,
Loud Alt Pod.
Loud alt pod. Okay, so soundcloud.com, loud alt pod. You guys can remember that. And then we've got the same thing for Facebook, which is facebook.com/loudaltpod. And
Nice. I love the consistency.
If YouTube wasn't such a fuck, we would have our own YouTube channel, link, ready to go, but we don't. So we'll put it in the description. But because we don't have one, I'll put my own up for now, which is youtube.com/TomyeWestDrums. I'm going to have some more videos on that once lockdown's done.
Shameless self-promotion, bro. I love it.
Yeah, exactly, man. And yeah, expect a video when COVID's done in 2045. And yeah, so that's our YouTube channel down the bottom there. As you can see, we can't change the URL on it yet. So the link, it's fucked.
UCCYMLAQP2T. Yeah.
Yeah, may as well just be...
Did you get all that?
No, I didn't. And I never will. So
we can change that soon though, yeah?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, sick.
So anyways, you're watching Loud, episode 1.5, our special episode, where we are going to rank our personal top 10 albums of all time. Yes, ranked. So.
Mine aren't ranked.
Well,
kind of. Yeah, no, they're... Yeah, okay, they're ranked. They're ranked. Okay.
And yeah, I'm your host, Tomye West, for this portion of the podcast, like the first portion. And this is my co-host, like always, Sexual Maven Codey.
I'm not a sexual maven. Fuck off.
Hey, man, look, I've had to come up with something. Look, I've got 4 out of 10 drummer, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't want to say, he's okay singer. He's all right. You know what I mean? So
I'll take whatever I can get.
We're going to start with my top 10 album, I guess, number 10. So we'll bring in the ranking. Let's begin it. So my top 10 album of all time is actually Limp Bizkit with their CD Chocolate Starfish and the hot dog flavored water. Now, I love this album. I absolutely love it. This is my top 10 album for sure. I don't know. It came out in like 2001. I really liked Limp Bizkit before this with their album Significant Other, which had Nookie on it and Counterfeit. No, was Counterfeit? Yeah, Counterfeit was off $3 bill. So it had Nookie on it. Had a bunch of cool, Just Like This on it. And then Chocolate Starfish and Hot Dog Flavor Water came out with songs like Hot Dog on it, which is one of the best Limp Bizkit songs. It had My Way, My Generation, Rollin', Full Nelson, which is a personal favorite I love.
That's the one song I know. Gotta keep rolling, rolling, rolling.
Everyone knows that, man. It's a huge song. It's a fucking huge song. But yeah, I love this album, and I just love the opening of it. How it's like, does it start? I'm confused now. Is the intro where it says "This is not a test. This is reality"? I think that's the first track. But then I could be confused, and it could just be Hot Dog being first track. And that starts off with the greatest intro to a song, which is, ladies and gentlemen, introducing the chocolate starfish, and the hot dog flavored water. And I fucking love that as an intro. It's so cool. And it's just a great album, man. Like, it's a really good album. So I haven't really
listened to it. I haven't listened to it. I'll give it a listen.
Man, give it a listen, because from start to finish, that album is a banger, bro. And that's when like Limp Bizkit were at their prime. They came out and did Big Day Out. You know, they were huge. And then they went into their next album, which had like that Eat You Alive song on it with Mark Wahlberg in the music video, which is crazy. So yeah, that's my top 10th album, which is Limp Bizkit, Chocolate Starfish and Hot Dog Flavored Water. So we're going to move on to Codey's now. Codey's top 10 album is...
Yeah, so my 10th favorite album of all time is Difference Between Hell and Home by Counterparts. It's just a sick album. It's pretty cool. Yeah. It's got a nice blend of like, I don't know, hardcore, metalcore, nice vocals. It got me through it got me through a rough time. It's a cool album. You know, I vibe with the lyrics on it and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, awesome. I haven't really heard of much of them. Like, what bands would you like put them next to?
Well, probably like, I know you mentioned the Ghost Inside before on that lineup. They're kind of like the Ghost Inside. I don't know, the stuff, their lyrical content, especially back then, because I kind of fell out with listening to them. They've got another album called Tragedy Will Find You, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I went through a pretty bad breakup around when I started listening to this album. I used to play it in my car on CD all the time, just blasted. I like the drums in it. It's just like, it's really upbeat, it's cool. I say, it's kind of like the Ghost Inside. It's a cool album, man. If you haven't listened to it, check it out.
What's like the main song off that album? The Disconnect, You're Not Anymore, Burn, Stranger. I'm looking at names.
Yeah. I don't know. Mine's probably Lost, because I remember putting a CD on in my car and just freaking cranking it. And the start of it is like doom 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 doom.
Oh yeah. Well, I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find that video clip for you, but I managed to find a little bit of weird live set stuff from him that we could possibly bring up onto the screen. If you just
that would be cool.
1 second.
That would be cool. I imagine it'd be pretty energetic.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna go share screen. And we're going to go Chrome, and we're going to go Canvas, share, and we're going to go, as you can see, we got some footage of them. I'll put it full screen.
I forget where they're from. Canada, lol.
Canada. Oh yeah, that's next to Paris, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also next to London.
I love my. It's weird because you can say I love my Canadian friends after saying Canada, and that makes sense. But
yeah,
I know, don't mind me, dude. I'm tripping.
That's okay, man. That's okay. So yeah, what year did that album come out?
July 23, 2013.
Oh, cool.
They're on Victory Records. There you go. Same album as Day to Remember.
Guess what, bro? You're never going to guess this. Sorry to butt in on your number 10, but I just found out how to share the audio for the music.
Nice.
I'm not going to do it because we'll probably get striked anyway, but whatever.
Good to know for next time.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go for bringing up my number 9, I guess. And that would be, let me get this going. That would be one of my all-time favorite acts. We're going to go here, and it is Under Oath with They're Only Chasing Safety. I love this album. This is like their first commercial album, I guess, you know what I mean? And it's a fantastic album. I really love the intro track, Young and Aspiring. I really love A Boy Brush Red. I really love It's Dangerous Business, Walking Out Your Front Door. I really love I've got 11 Friends and a Crowbar That Says You Ain't Gonna Do Jack. That's a great song too, which is their B-side off it, I guess. And this is like this album. I fell in love with this album after their second album, so I got into this album a bit later than when it was released. But I still listen to it now and still love it, and yeah, I really dig it. Have you? This is the one with Reinventing Your Exit. You heard this, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was the first album I think they did with Spencer as their vocalist as well. Yeah. But yeah,
I haven't listened to too much. I haven't listened to too much of that either. Like you're right. It did have that Reinventing Your Exit. It's an awesome song. It's I remember all my friends loving A Boy Brush Red. It's weird. I honestly, I think back in the day, I didn't listen to them because they. It'd be interesting for you to try and talk about it, I guess. But like the whole like we're a Christian band thing. Like they were heavy and stuff back then, and it was weird. I went to a Christian school, but like I didn't want to say I listened to them because I like I don't know. I'm spiritual nowadays. I believe in God, whatever. But back then I didn't want to be like I listen to a Christian band, you know.
Well, see, I tried to look. I'm not religious. I don't have a problem with people that are religious. If you believe in that, more power to you. That's awesome. At least it gives you something that you feel comfortable knowing that there's something there for you. And I really like. I couldn't actually be more jealous of you guys having that, because just the way I was brought up and with my weird sense of mind that I have, which is always trying to be. I call myself a realist, but I'm not, because what do I know, man? God could be real, heaven could be real, and what do I know? I hope for the sake of people that do believe in it that it is real, but I'm not. I'm an atheist, yeah. So I try to avoid that part, that element to Under Oath. But the problem was when you went to their shows, they'd always, just before their last song, go into a spiel about how they do it for Jesus Christ, and how, like, if we didn't believe in it, that's cool, but that's what they're up there in the name of and stuff. And I used to just stand there kind of rolling my eyes a little bit, because I was like, this is just a bit, it's
weird. It's weird because like I remember feeling the same about The Devil Wears Prada back then, but like listening to them way more just because
Emery as well.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's heaps of Forgiven Rival. My mate's band were classified that. Addison from New Zealand were classified that. So you know, I played with a fair few of them. I mean, the singer in my old band, he's very religious, and I have no problems with. I went to youth group with him and stuff. Like, I didn't burst into flames when I entered, which was a good thing.
I did youth group and stuff when I was younger. I did it myself, and then I was like the leader for other kids and stuff. Anyway,
yeah, cool. So yeah, that's my number 9. We'll move on to your number 9, and that is Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah, my number 9 is by the Arctic Monkeys. It's before, I don't know, AM, PM. I think was their album afterwards. It's cool, man. It's I don't know, it's a cheeky album if you listen to the like lyrical content of it and stuff. It's kind of like when I grew up, I listened to like the Wombats and Two Door Cinema Club and other indie stuff like that, Bombay Bicycle Club. And then I got a bit older, and I remember I bought this CD when I was like maybe 18, 19. And it was like the same type of sound, but it was like a lot more like mature content, not in the way of like, you know, like super sexual stuff or whatever, but just like I don't know, they got this song called When the Sun Goes Down on that album. It's so good. I would hang out with my friend Ryan Single back in Gladstone, and he put on the best accent. He used to be able to play the song on guitar, and it's pretty much just about a sleazebag, basically.
Yeah,
you know, like it's pretty much about a fuckboy, basically.
Oh, okay. I knew of them a little bit.
It's like they say it changes when the sun goes down, you know.
Yeah, well, I knew of them a little bit. My mate was into them heavily for a bit, like their first album.
Yeah.
but I've never really been a fan myself personally.
Yeah, I've got a
but
pretty
yeah.
diverse music influence, I guess.
I do too, I believe, but um,
Yours is probably way more towards like rap and hip hop and stuff like that, whereas mine is probably more like indie and soft rock. I would say.
I also like a bit of folky stuff. Like I love Jose Gonzalez.
I remember that
All that
drum
sort of
thing you
stuff.
did with that
Yeah,
song.
I'm
That dude.
actually going to release the proper version of it soon. So
Yeah, that's sick.
on my Reverb Nation.
Um, yeah, this is a sweet album. Give me 1 second. I'm pretty sure. I need to check the track listing. They obviously got way bigger afterwards. Like I don't know. My favorite Arctic Monkey song that isn't on this album would probably be, I think it's called Number One Party Anthem. It's a really awesome song. It's so slow. It's not like anything you'd expect me to listen to. But it's cool.
Cool, man. But I like bands, like rock bands too. Like I like the Black Keys a lot.
This album's got "I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor," which is probably one of
that's
those.
the song I know. That's the song I know.
Yeah.
No,
Sick.
yeah, they're not bad, man. They're pretty cool. But I like, bands like not that sort of rock. But I like Oasis. I like Jose Gonzalez. I like heaps of stuff like that. But yeah, that's cool, man. It's a cool selection.
Cheers.
I'll move on to my number 8, which is Eminem, the Marshall Mathers LP.
Very
And
nice.
I absolutely love this album. This album changed so much shit for me. Like I was into Slipknot, I was into Korn, I was into everything. And then Eminem came out with this album. And from that day on, I stopped listening to rock music, man. And that's why I have to put it in my top albums of all time, because for a good 3 years, it completely shaped me into a complete different genre. I did not listen to hip hop at all. And then when I started listening to Eminem, Marshall Mathers LP, I stopped listening to rock music for like 3 years and listened to Dr. Dre, Snoop, Eminem, Tupac. And yeah, it's just such a great album. It's got like Kill You on it, which is my favorite Eminem song ever. It's got Stan, obviously, The Real Slim Shady, The Way I Am, Criminal, Amity something. I don't know. But yeah, it's a great album. It's awesome, man. I feel like it was when Eminem was like rawest, most violent, most aggressive. And the album it has so many moments where you can hear that aggression on that album, which like with songs like Kim, where he's like the whole song is him murdering his wife or whatever.
I think you showed me that song in the car. Yeah,
it's a great song, and I just can't rate that album any higher. And I got to admit that when the next album came out, the Eminem Show, I was very disappointed because it got very jokey and very funny and silly, whereas I felt like the Marshall Mathers LP was a lot more.
How was the public's reception of that album? Like
Eminem Show was huge, man. It was huge.
Yeah. Was it controversial? Because like I don't know, not at all.
No, it has like Without Me on it and stuff like this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me.
Fair.
So it was all jokey and shit, and I just felt like he was so good when he was angry and raw, and Dr. Dre and him brought that out in the studio, and he's like screaming into the like microphone.
I just thought that maybe his label told him not to do that anymore, but I guess he just changed how he was.
No way, that's just Eminem, bro. That's how he wants to be, I guess.
Yeah, fair.
But I mean, I still love Eminem and I still rate some of the stuff he does, but I just feel like we'll never get an Eminem like that again. It's funny too because Marilyn Manson's in the music video, and Marilyn Manson's a scumbag dog.
Would it be fair to say that, like, I don't know, like, what was this his second album? Like, I don't know, second or third album. Second.
This was his second. His first one was called the Slim Shady LP.
I don't know. Maybe he got out all that aggressive shit that he wanted to do,
and then he made money, man. That's what it was.
Fair.
He wasn't struggling anymore. And like, even though he was making money after,
he had the comfortability,
it wasn't like this,
the comfortability to be able to experiment.
I mean, dude, I remember him coming out That's another person that I've actually met. He came out when I was in primary school, and my mate that had a dad or mum's boyfriend that worked at a tan salon on Chapel Street in Paran, and Eminem went into that tan salon while we were there, and they shut the doors for him because he was being followed by paparazzi and stuff.
Wow.
But we were only in there for 5 minutes. We got ushered out by my mate's mum and shit. I barely remember it, but yeah, I wanted to go so bad and I couldn't because my tickets were expensive, and everyone was like, "You can't go to an Eminem show. You're in grade 6," So,
It's inappropriate.
and he come out with chainsaw and a hockey mask on and shit. But yeah, well, that's my number 8. Let's move on to your number 8, which is
Paramore. Do you know this album, man?
is this their first album?
I don't actually know.
Misery Business on it?
Third. No, this is their third. I'm glad I brought up Wikipedia because I love this album, but I don't know that much about Paramore.
Neither do I, to be honest, man.
But I had this album on the CD, and I burnt it onto my Xbox, and I'd listen to it when I played Xbox 360. It's got some cool songs. It's a pretty uplifting album. It's got, I guess, a fair bit of controversy because they broke up not long after this album came out.
Yep.
And if you, I guess, like somewhat analyze the lyrical content of it, Hayley's pretty much ripping on the rest of the band members throughout this whole album.
Yep.
So they kind of contributed to a thing where she was like, "Fuck you guys," pretty much, because I don't know, the Pharaohs and whatnot, and the guitarist was dating Hayley, and they had all their shit and whatnot.
Yeah.
But above all that, I don't know, it's a good album. You can see their progression from Riot, which had Misery Business on it, like you were saying.
Yep.
And it's, I don't know, it's a lot more mature and refined sound for sure. Not that I shit on it or whatever, but afterwards when Paramore became even more just Hayley and the stuff they were writing was like played more on the radio and stuff like that, I wasn't anywhere near into it as much as this album. I think I'm glad they made this before they broke up, because I would have been disappointed had they not been able to put something like this together after Riot. You know what I mean?
Well, what I love, I'm about to bring up a video that I love from Paramore. This is them live on television with Aaron Gillespie from Under Oath on the drums. And I love this video just because I get to see Aaron, and Aaron is my all-time favorite drummer. And it's just weird seeing him play for Paramore.
It's pretty damn cool. Do you know the story behind that? Like, why did he have to drum? What was the go with the drummer?
He's a session drummer, bro. I have no idea. He does stuff like for heaps of artists.
For sure.
So I'm guessing he just was filling in while they didn't have a drummer or something. I have no idea what happened with their drummer. So,
yeah, for sure. It's cool when it's cool when drummers, especially, can play with a various amount of bands and like listen to their songs like 3 or 4 times and just like get a feel for the song. And because you're the drummer, everything else revolves around you, basically. So,
so we're gonna. Yeah, you happy to move on to my next one, or?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. All right. So my number 8 album. Some people that, if they are listening to this, know me, will probably be surprised that this one's not up higher on my list, but it is The Used with In Love and Death. This was their second album. This is, one of the greatest albums, in my opinion, from that genre of music. Like you got Take It Away, you got I Caught Fire, Let It Bleed, All That I've Got, what is it called? Something Angels. I like Lunacy Fringe, I'm a Fake. Like it's just got so many good songs on it, and I think it's such a great follow-up to their first album. But I still don't think it's quite hits the note that the first album hits to me. But it's such a great album, and seeing it live, seeing them because they came out to Australia after In Love and Death, seeing him live play in Love and Death and just like first and second album shit was crazy. And this was when Bert was like on a whole new level, you know?
Yeah, dude, like I absolutely love this album as well. Like it only just missed out on my list, to be honest. Probably a lot of the reason I didn't put it in mine is because you had it in yours, you know.
Yeah.
But it's probably on the same level as a couple of the other bands that I mentioned later on that were like steered me to actually really enjoying this type of music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, this
I
album
fucking fell in love with this album when I listened to it, dude. It was life changing for real.
Yeah, well, this album didn't do much for my for the steps I took with my music. But the thing is, their first album is what made me start a band again and make it like a serious thing. So as much as this album is not as good as the first, in my opinion, it's still one of the best albums in that genre of music.
Well, you like it enough to get it tattooed, yeah?
Exactly. But yeah, I think that Let It Bleed, I'm a Fake, sound effects and over dramatics, just the heavier stuff on that album is just really cool, man. It's really, really cool.
It was pretty ahead of its time, to be honest.
It was. I haven't really got much more to say about that one. But yeah, so we'll move on to your number 7.
Yeah.
And your number 7 is?
Following the same sort of era, I guess, we got This War Is Ours by Escape the Fate. How do you feel about this album, dude? Because I know you're a massive Ronnie fan, and this was like, I remember all the shit that was going on when fucking Craig Mabbitt joined the band and whatever. There's all this shit when Ronnie was in jail and stuff like that. Do you like this album?
To be honest, man, I kind of looked at... See, I wasn't the hugest Ronnie fan back then. I first saw Not Good Enough for the Truth in Cliche on Rage at like 2 a.m. at a girlfriend's house at one time.
Yeah.
And I really loved that song. And I really loved The Guillotine and Situations. And I never really listened to much more than that. They were kind of like a band that I really dug those songs. And so when
again, we got to consider that, like, we got to consider that, like, I got into this a bit later, you know, so like these were like a huge band that like a lot of people my age would definitely consider these guys as like, you know, like Ronnie would say it himself, like he basically helped initiate this next generation of people that listen to this type of stuff, you know. And 100%. you getting into it a bit beforehand, it probably wouldn't have been as big of a thing, but like just getting into it, you listen to it and you're like, yeah, this is fucking cool, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So when this album came out with Craig Mabbitt in it, with The Flood and with like The Guillotine Part 2 and all that, I was not opposed against it, and I was actually like, I like this stuff, this is really good. Because, as I said, I wasn't really that much of a Ronnie fanboy back then. I was all about Bert. Bert from the Used, that's all I gave a shit about. So now that I'm a big Ronnie fan, though, I still think that first album is probably their best work.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I used to really enjoy listening to, like, Reverse This Curse and, you know, Situations, as you said. Not Good Enough for Truth and Cliche. There's probably a couple others that I've really listened to that I probably can't remember anymore. But yeah, that album was sick as well, for sure.
Yeah, it was a great album, man. I really liked... was 10 Miles Wide on that album?
No, that was on this album that I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It was 10 Miles Wide on This War Is Ours.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that's such a great song, man. I love...
The singer on that song is awesome. I don't know what band it's from. It was pretty...
Cherry.
Yeah.
Singer from Buck Cherry.
I didn't know anything about him when he was on it,
but I was like... If you look in the music video, there's some pretty big cameo parts in that music video too. You've got, hold on, I'm going to chuck it up so you can see. You've got people like, that's a singer from Buck Cherry there.
Yeah, right.
Then you've got In the Plane, right? If we skip forward a bit, you can see you've got...
he nailed his part on this song.
Yeah, he
did. It sounds so good.
If you see in this in the plane, we'll let it play for a second. You can see one of the Good Charlotte brothers. I'm pretty sure.
Really?
You can also see Ron Jeremy, the porn star.
Man!
So they have a few guest stars on it.
I'm just looking at Maxi Green, dude. He caught my eye. Holy. The bassist. The bassist.
Yeah, he was in Falling in Reverse for a little bit, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I found the bit where that's Ron Jeremy right there in the background.
That's insane. No way.
Yeah. And there you go. Is that one of the Good Charlotte brothers?
Yeah, it looks like either Joel or Benji. Absolutely.
So as you can see in the music video, there's quite a lot of famous people in it.
That's cool, lads.
Yeah, I like that music video too. So yeah, that's a really cool album, man. I can't argue with you on that one, you know.
Cheers.
So,
Thanks, man. Cheers.
I'll bring up my next album, which is number 6, and that is Sayerson with their debut album, Sayerson. Such a great album. I used to pump this album non-stop, man. Like, I loved it. It was one of those songs that we played in the car just non-stop. I loved it. It's Far Better to Learn. Sleepers. It's so simple. Bury Your Head. Follow and Feel. You're Not Alone. Like, they're just all great songs, and I can't recommend an album from Sayerson more than that album. Even with their new singer in it that took over Anthony Green's position, which was I think his name's Bo. I think I could be wrong there, but
Band members.
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't think it is Bo.
No, you're right, bro. Bo
That's Bo?
Burchell. Bo
Yep.
Burchill.
Yep.
Burchell.
So yeah, he took over, and look,
Burchell.
he's so similar sounding to Anthony Green that when he rang up the band to say he wanted to try out for them, they thought it was Anthony Green
The same
playing
dude.
a prank on them.
Right.
And just like, I'm sure we won't get flagged for this, but I'll just bring up an example of how they sound very similar. 1 second. We're going to go share screen.
So beautiful.
So he's got a very, very nice high voice. I'll now show you the Anthony Green difference with Sayerson, which is crazy, man, because, like, as I said, he came in and pulled it off, and he did a good job, man. Like, I was like, oh, man, Anthony Green's a bit more girly, I guess. You know, like, more nasally, you know?
Yeah.
But then this is, like, old Sayerson here. Go share screen. Oops, 1 second. Go share. Then we go Chrome, share audio. You can hear his voice is like fairly similar.
Very much so.
Yeah, so I just think they pulled that off really well, and I really rate that album, man. And I got to see them play it live at Taste of Chaos, and it was weird because they were on like the local stage. They weren't even they weren't even on the main stage with like the Used and stuff. Like at Rod Laver, it was like the big stage, the Used, Story of the Year, all that, and off to the side there was a smaller stage right next to the main stage in Rod Laver Arena, and Sayerson played on that. And we went out for a cigarette, and then someone was like, Sayerson are playing. And I was like, what the fuck? So I had to run inside and catch them, which was pretty interesting. But they were really good. And yeah, I haven't seen them since. So
I didn't listen to them at all growing up. They weren't on anyone's radar really, and like at least in my friend group. But the stuff that you've shown me, they're freaking awesome. So yeah. I'm gonna listen to them a lot more because the way that the dude sings is how I like to sing, man. Like
yeah, for sure. And now we're gonna go with your number 6.
My number 6. All right. My number 6 is Bullet for My Valentine. I couldn't choose between The Poison or Scream Aim Fire because I don't like both of their albums as wholes, but together I think they go really well. It's weird because their third album, Temper, or whatever it was, Fever, I can't actually remember. I didn't like at all. But the dude, Bullet, like them and the next band that I talk about basically got me into metal. I had the DVD of the Poison, which I'd watch like at my grandma's place, and it's so cringe and funny. I'd like put my skinnies on and put like I had a used shirt. I had a shirt said the used, and then like some shield crest thing, and like I wore that before I even listened to them. You know, I made that a staple as I got older to never wear or never wear anything of a team or a band that I don't like. So even though I wear this hat now, I at least know who this team is. Anyway, this album's great. This album, both of these albums are awesome. I remember playing Scream Aim Fire on Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero, yeah. That's how I kind of listen to them, man. I never really got into them that much, but I do rate them. They're pretty good.
I know I'm rambling so much at the moment, but like they really were pretty influential. I borrowed my mate's iPod and he gave me a whole bunch of metal when I first got into it. And I listened to Tears Don't Fall and the acoustic song on The Poison. It's like all these things I hate revolve around me. I used to love singing that song. Just anyone that knows it, it's a good album.
Yeah. No, it is good. It is good, man. But yeah, like that's as much as I know about him. Really, is I got it through Guitar Hero and shit. Which
probably the best song I reckon on The Poison is "Suffocating Under Words of Sorrow." It's an awesome metalcore song.
Yeah, cool. What year did that come out?
I mean, I would check. I'm not too sure actually. 2005.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, the DVD was awesome. The DVD was the Brixton that I mentioned earlier. I used to watch that and be like, "Oh my god, I want to be in a metal band so bad."
Yeah, no. I should have probably given him more of a chance, but I wasn't sure. You know, I've never really got into him that much. But that's about it. We're done at number 6, so I guess we'll move on to my number 5, which is The Used with The Used, their self-titled album. I absolutely love this album. This album came out, and when I first heard it, it just changed me. It completely changed me. They were just like unlike anything else I'd ever heard. They made me start my first band, which was called Circumsystem, in high school. My singer in the band actually was like, "Oh, I'll scream if you want," and I was like, "You can't scream," and he was like, "I'll try," and that's how we ended up being the band that we were. Mm-hmm. I explained it a little bit on the last episode about hearing this album and not liking them when I first heard them, and then hearing them a second time and loving it, and then going back to the song I heard the first time, which I didn't like, and falling in love with that instantly for no reason. So yeah, like, I mean, standout tracks on this would be like maybe Memories, Box of Sharp Objects, Buried Myself Alive, Pieces Mended, Greener with the Scenery, Noises and Kisses. Like, there are just so many good songs. Say Days Ago, which I love.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite if you can pick one? What's your favorite?
Oh, I mean, it would be out of Box of Sharp Objects or maybe Noise and Kisses. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I like Blue and Yellow as well.
The you know, like the used fix that I like from this album is definitely maybe Memories. It's a fucking awesome song. Probably Taste of Ink and Dark Horse would be On My Own because it's actually kind of beautiful song.
Yeah, well, have you heard? And you heard the secret song, yeah, Choke Me. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that too. So yeah, that's just a great album. People that do know me as well that listen to this probably are surprised that this isn't like my number one, but it's an album that I have a lot of trouble going back and listening to now because I just drilled it into the ground.
So, number 5 is Suicide Season by Bring Me the Horizon.
Yep.
Probably on the same echelon as Bullet, I guess. They really got me into metal as well.
Yep.
I remember watching the Chelsea Smile film clip and being like, dude, that looks like such a fun time, and just wanting to go party.
Yep.
Dude, you know, bring me back then. Like, this came out in 2008, I think.
Yep.
They were huge.
They were, man. I remember when this album came out, how many people were raving about it.
Yeah.
I remember how big of a deal it was. And this was the album that they kind of stepped away from that really hardcore stuff that they were doing, eh?
For sure, yeah. I like them a little bit more on this album because of the sort of different stuff they were trying to do. This film clip is hectic. Bro, this is.
I've never seen it, man. I just pulled it up. Who cares?
This is Suicide Silence.
But yeah, no, I remember hearing the first single off that album that they played, and I was like, actually, I don't mind this at all. So
yeah, it was cool, man. They had Jonah Weinhoffen on this album.
See, I saw Bring Me the Horizon when they were just like, like that's all they were. Taste of Chaos.
It took me a really long time to get into Count Your Blessings. Like, old school Bring Me fans are like, we don't listen to anything apart from Count Your Blessings, rah, rah, rah. But it's just noise, man. Like, Ollie recorded vocals on that through a guitar amp with distortion in a toilet cubicle, like in their basement, from what I remember.
Yeah.
There's some good songs in it. I like Off the Heezy. That's probably the best song, in my opinion, of Count Your Blessings. But everyone would be like, nah, Medusa. Or what was the other one? Freaking Pray for Plagues.
Yeah.
They absolutely hate playing that song.
Yeah.
But,
as I said, I saw them when they were before that Suicide Silence album came out, whatever it was. So I got confused.
Suicide. That was the big thing back then, man. Everyone kill yourself.
Yeah, that's kind of sad, man. That's kind of sad. We actually played a fundraiser for 2 girls that killed themselves in Ferntree Gully.
Really?
And yeah, like we played like a show in remembering whatever you want to call it. We played a memory show for them with Forgiven Rival, a few other bands. And we put on a good show, but yeah, I didn't sleep the entire night before, and I was pretty cooked. So interesting show. But yeah,
interesting times. What's your number 4, dude?
My number 4. Okay, now there isn't a music video for this song, so I'm just going to bring up the album cover because it's fucking it's shit. There isn't no music video for it, but that would be Dr. Dre's Compton, and it's called Dr. Dre Compton, a soundtrack by Dr. Dre. And what's interesting about this is it was like Dr. Dre's dropping a new album, first album since Chronic 2001, or 2000, whatever. And so, this was 15 years after his last album. And it was funny because it came out the year that Straight Outta Compton, the movie, came out, and it came out the same month, and I think it came out the same period. So everyone assumed it was a soundtrack to
the movie. Yeah.
And everyone was like, it's not actually a Dr. Dre album. It is a soundtrack to the movie. And I was like, well, it's not. It's a whole new album. You've gotten confused. But it is fantastic, man. At first listen, I couldn't stand it. I hated it. I was like, what is going on? This is just a mess. It's like the songs change beats. Every song has 3 different beats in the whole thing, or 4 different beats. So it just change. It's not like, the next episode or Still Dre where the whole thing is dun 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 dun, 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 dun. That's the whole beat, you know what I mean? Whereas with Compton, the soundtrack by Dr. Dre, every song has like layers of beats where it'll like be dun, 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 and then it'll be like do da ka da da. You know what I mean? So it just fucking changes it up, and it's got a lot of brass on it. I really love the songs on it.
So do you like it because it changes up and stuff?
See, that's as I was saying, I didn't like it when I first heard it, and then I kind of like found like a song here and a song there that I liked, and then a song here, and then
Sort of just like grew on you.
It grew on me, man. And then from then on, like I got to say, I don't like the song after the intro. Talk About It. I don't really like the third song, Genocide. But then from the fourth song onwards, it just rocks the whole album, man. I love Just Another Day, Talking to My Diary, Medicine Man featuring Eminem, Issues featuring Exhibit and Cold 187. There's so many good songs on this album, man. Songs with Snoop Dogg. It's just a really good album, man. It came out in 2015. I suggest if anyone hasn't heard it, listen to it because it's got so many throwbacks to NWA. It's got like samples of Eazy-E's voice in it still, basically sending a message from from the grave, basically, which is trippy and kind of cool. But I really recommend people go listen to Compton. It was hard, man, because it nearly made my top 3. It's that good of an album. All right, so we'll move on to your number 4.
My number 4 was a pretty hard choice because they're not a huge band, but they were pretty huge for me growing up, man. Buried in Verona. I'm pretty, I don't know, I'm pretty harsh when it comes to rating my favorite albums and stuff like that. And this one just kicks it out of the freaking park. It's such a solid album the whole way through. This is the last album they did before both, like either one or both of their guitarists left. And they wrote basically all of the riffs on this album. And I love my metalcore. I love like Parkway Drive, and like I was saying before, Ball of My Valentine and stuff like that. Just anything with a sick riff and nice breakdown. This album came out in 2010. Yeah, so they went and recorded it with Frederick Nordstrom. Have you heard of that dude?
No.
He's an awesome producer. He worked on a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, man. Buried in Verona is sick. The best songs on this album are Hanging Hose by Their Toes and everything else. That's the best song on it, but every other one is just super solid.
Is this a video clip I've got up, one of the songs off it, or is this a different one? This is called Forget What You Know.
Yeah, this is from way later.
Oh, okay, cool. Hard to find a video clip from that album.
Yeah, for sure. Like again, 2010. This is what 11 years ago.
Yep.
But no, it's up there, man. It's
Who
it's
they
cool.
like? What sort of bands are they like?
Probably like Kill Switch Engage, but way heavier and a bit more hardcore, I'd say.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll move on to my number 3, which, man, like, I love this album so much. I just can't put it at number 2 or 1 though, because it's just there's 2 albums that come before that definitely, and that would be Hollywood Undead with V, which is I believe their 5th album, to be honest as well. It's actually the first album where they.
Well, that would make sense. V 5th album.
I think it's actually the first album they released with they parted ways with their second percussionist, De Curls. So like it used to be like 6 members. So it was Charlie Scene, Johnny Three Tears, De Curls, Funny Man, Danny, and J Dog. And now it's just not De Curls isn't in anymore. It's Danny, J Dog, Funny Man, Johnny Three Tears, and Charlie Scene.
Right.
I love this band. I love them. This album is probably their the reason I love this album more than the others from them beforehand is because I feel like it's their most mature.
Yeah, right.
It's the most grown up. It's not jokey at all. Like their first album had that "Everywhere I Go" song on it. Bitches always know that
Yeah.
Charlie Cena's got a weenie that he loves to show.
Yeah.
Those songs are so jokey and so silly, and it's hard to kind of take them as a serious band, even though I liked them.
Yeah.
Whereas this album, I felt like when this came out, this was them at their prime, and I didn't even realize that there's been an album since then, which was called. What was their new album called? It was something part 2, which is weird. I can't remember why it was called that. Just looking up what's the album called. What's that one after this? It's called. It is called New Empire.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
What? Psalms was also something after it, and it says, anyway, it says on July 19th, 2017, the song titled California Dreaming was leaked. It says on October 10th, founding member De Curls amicably parted ways with the group to pursue his own interests. It has Be Real on it from Cypress Hill. But yeah, I didn't even know that they released much after that. And the new stuff that they've released on New Empire, Coming At Your Stereo and all that, are just as good on the songs as on this album. But this album definitely in my top 3 of all time, and I can listen to it nonstop basically all the time. I love it.
That's cool, man.
Just some highlight songs that people should listen to if they want to listen to it: California Dreaming, Whatever It Takes, Nobody's Watching, and Bad Moon, and probably, let's say, Renegade. Those are the greatest songs off that album, I reckon. They've got other good songs on it too, but yeah, those are the heavy hitters for me.
Yeah, sick. Go check them out.
Cool. And now we'll move on to your number 3, which is
3. Northlane. Discoveries came out in 2011.
Yep.
I remember the first time I listened to this album, I was like at work, and I put my headphones in and was like trying to do some work, and then the end of the first song came on, and it just completely blew my mind. I was like, what the actual fuck am I listening to? Like, it was nothing else I'd ever heard before. It was so good. So I was like, yo, I need a break. So I went and took a 10-minute break and continued listening to this album, because I was like, this is just so good. It was Dispossession, the first song on this album. The breakdown came in and I was like, holy shit. Super funny story. I bought 2 tickets for 2 different shows to go see Northlane over the years, but I've never actually seen them play. I had blues with different people at the second show and the first show. I didn't know who they were at all. Like, I just went to go see a local support, and I was like, oh yeah, whatever, and like left after they played. And then later on, I was like, oh fuck, that was Northlane. So I've been to 2 Northlane concerts, never actually seen them played once.
I know how huge they are, man. They're huge. So.
Yeah, this album was so good. It's like, I don't know, everyone's like gent nowadays, whatever. But these guys weren't even trying to be gents back then. They just played what they played, obviously with influences from like Meshuggah and stuff like that. But this entire album was written out on the computer, you know, like before they went to the studio. Same program that I used to use with my old band. They just just tabbed it all out, you know.
Cool, man. They're not Australian, are they?
Yeah, they're from Sydney, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
I thought they were. Yeah, I thought they were. They're doing that Full Tilt festival as well, eh?
Are they? I had no idea.
As headliners, yeah. It's been postponed, but yeah, they're headliners for Full Tilt.
I kind of fell out with them after this album, because the
Friends Will Rum are playing that too.
Really?
Yeah.
The vocalist on this album left after the next album, I think.
Yep.
But yeah, they put out Node with the new vocalist, their third album, and it had a few cool songs. But yeah, I fell out with them. It's cool that they're still going though, for sure. Obviously, you know, they always have been incredible musicians. They're all music teachers, you know.
Yeah.
um, I got I got the guitarist on Instagram, and throughout COVID, he's been getting right into like doing like marathons and riding his bike and stuff like that. So it's like good
Yeah.
for you, man.
That's awesome.
But yeah. This album's
I have to
awesome.
listen to them a little bit more because I haven't really listened to much of them, but
Mm-hmm,
they seem pretty decent.
Yeah, they're not too bad.
Cool. Well, now we're coming to the
Home stretch.
the home stretch. We're on my number 2. This is my number 2 album of all time, as of right now anyway. This is Falling in Reverse with their album Just Like You. This album is awesome. It wasn't the first album that I got into from Falling in Reverse. The first album I got into was Fashionably Late, which was the album that came just before this. And it had that Alone song on it, like that Fashionably Late had Alone, Bad Girls Club, Rolling
That was like
Stone,
the first album you put out with them,
no,
wasn't it?
No, Drug in Me Is You.
Gotcha. Yeah,
First
that makes
album.
sense. Yeah.
And it's Fashionably Late, and their first single was Alone, and everyone hated it. I loved it though. And then their third album was Just Like You, and I was disappointed in it at first because I felt like it didn't have enough hip-hoppy rap, dubsteppy stuff in it like the first album did, and it was a lot
that
more
song's
rocky
really
and
like
heavy.
and it's also, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of like circusy and like theatrical a little bit, because it's like I'm just like you or whatever.
It's that I'm just like you video clip with where they're doing like the voice, and it's like I don't know, I don't like the song Just Like You at all by Falling in Reverse. I actually don't like that song really at all, but like the songs on this album that stand out for me, which I love to death, are like track 4 is Just Like You, track 5 is The Guillotine Part 3. Track 6 is Stay Away. I love track 8, My Heart's to Blame. Track 9, actually that might be My Heart's to Blame. The Wait and See is track 7, I think, which is awesome. Die For You, Chemical Prisoner. Like all the songs on this album are just fantastic, man. Like, and this album was definitely the highlight for me with Falling in Reverse, and the album I probably have listened to the most and still love.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah,
cool,
that's my number 2 album of all time. But yeah, no, it's definitely a step up from what they used to do.
Do you know the song? You know the song "Caught Like a Fly" by them?
Yeah, that's on Drug in Me Is You.
Yeah. Okay, the first album they put out.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Very sort of that sort of circusy sounding as well, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess that was like an afterthought that I had. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll move on to your number 2.
Number 2.
Your number 2 is
from a band from my hometown or my home state of Queensland. These dudes are from Brisbane. Yeah.
This band is one of the bands that you have on your list that I rate highly as well from that period in time.
Yeah, this album was amazing. I don't know. I think about the next band that I talk about, and the favorite album that they did that I have. The album before that was probably just as good, if not better. But this album was really influential. I'm talking about. I don't know. Do you remember Severed Tires by this band?
Yep.
Yeah. So
that was that was what I was going to say before when we were talking about them in the news section, was that when we were playing with them, they were playing the Severed Tires stuff.
Yeah. See, like the stuff off that album is amazing. Like I Heart Roberts.
Fruity Lexia.
Blair Snitch Project. You know, all that stuff.
Yep.
It's a solid album, but this one is head and shoulders above it, honestly, in its own right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. Oh, dude. Compared to Severed Tires, this album is like a whole different band.
Absolutely. Their sing along stuff is so cool. All the instrumental stuff is awesome. I don't know. It was just it came out at a good time. It was good sound that everyone wanted to hear, I guess. And I still listen to it nowadays. You know, so many bands I've been in have covered "I Hate Hartley" off it. You know, it's not
I love that song. I used it on a Call of Duty montage back when Modern Warfare 2 was around.
Absolutely no shame in saying this is probably my number 2 favorite album of all time. Yeah,
awesome. I love it too. I like Fire and
Fire or Knife.
Yep, and I like No Sleep Till Brisbane. I like
Dr. Thunder is probably my favorite song.
Dr. Thunder's good. I like Anchors.
Mm-hmm.
There's some great songs off that album, man.
HMAS Look Back. You could you could rattle off every song.
Great song. What's there's another one. What's one of the last tracks on the album? It's not No Sleep Till Brisbane. It's one of the ones before that. I can't remember.
Oh, there's Fuck the Yankees.
That's the one. It's such a good song, bro. Such a good song.
Yeah.
Cool. No, it's a good choice, man. Good choice for number 2.
Cheers.
All right, we're going to bring in my number 1 album of all time, which will never change and will always stay the same. And this album, I can't speak highly enough of. This album changed my life, and I don't think I stopped listening to this album for 16 months, just non-stop from start to finish, back and forth at the start of the album when it came out in the car. And that album is
Roll
Under Oath, Find the Great Line, which is just an incredible album. It has not one bad song on it. It has the greatest drumming, in my opinion, that has been written for that style of music before. It's pretty much what solidified Aaron Gillespie as my hero on drums. I just love how his drums follow everything the guitar does, rather than the guitars follow the drum beat. He's doing fills to mix in with the riffs and stuff like that, and just the whole album from start to finish is one giant burst of energy that I don't understand where it came from. You know what I mean? It opens with In Regards to Myself, which is such a great song. Then track 2, a moment suspended in time, I think it's called, which is awesome. I could be wrong about that. I get mixed up with 2 of their songs on that album. Track 3 on it is my favorite song from them, which is you know that song that I always show you in the car.
I won't know the name of it.
Oh man, I got to look it up. 1 second. It is the song that I'm just gonna look it up. Can't bother with this. Under Oath. I think it's called. Let me go Find the Great Line. The track is called There Could Be Nothing After This. That's it. And it's that in the end we tend to think of how it began. You know that song?
I remember it.
And then it has the oh God everything, that part in it. That's so sick, man. Then it's You're Ever So Inviting, which is an amazing song. Returning Empty Handed. Moving for the Sake of Motion, Writing on the Walls. Everyone Looks So Good From Here, and it finishes on the song that I still want at my funeral when I die, which will be To Whom It May Concern. And it's a great finisher track. I absolutely love that track. I just can't say more about that album, and if people haven't heard it, go listen to it, or if you haven't heard it in years, chuck it back on and have a listen to it, because I'm telling you now, it was not only ahead of its time, but it will remain still ahead of its time. It still feels like it's ahead of its time now. So, in my opinion, it's probably one of the most flawless albums ever made by a band in the history of me listening to music.
Especially after they did their live thing as well, because they did a live set of this album, right?
Yeah, from start to finish.
So if you go back and listen to it, you'd hear their evolution and stuff like that.
And I suggest if anyone hasn't heard the live COVID stream of Define the Great Line in full, go check it out. On YouTube, they've got In Regards to Myself and Writing on the Walls up live. You can watch the video. I don't know if you can get the video anymore, but I've got it. I downloaded it. I personally bought it. But I'm telling you now, it is the best album, in my opinion, of that genre, of that music, and will always be solidified as my favorite album of all time. So
Sick.
now we're going to move on to the finale, which is your number one album of all time, and that is
My favorite album of all time is Homesick by A Day to Remember. Always will be. Always will be. It's so cool. I just loved everything they were doing back then. I loved the aesthetic. I loved their sound. I loved that they weren't trying too hard to be anything they weren't. In fact, obviously on all their DVDs and stuff like that, they were just taking the piss out of themselves.
Yeah.
They didn't take anything too seriously. They just wrote some really good music and was super popular. Yeah. Can't really say much more, man.
that's awesome.
It's a dope album.
It is a good album, man. I actually have it as well. I actually had it. I gave it to you, yeah. Yeah.
Yep, you gave it to me.
Yeah, it had been played like once.
I had the deluxe version. I had the DVD, so I watched their live set in Switzerland, and I watched the documentary. Learned about Tom Denny, their old guitarist, and I was saying earlier about preceding albums and whatever. For Those Who Have Heart, which is their second album, is almost as good as this one, and a lot of people will argue that it's better. But in my opinion, this like the only difference is that this album's probably just a little bit easier to listen to. I guess it's a little bit more pop friendly, but not in a bad way. And I guess one thing I should mention is a lot of the reason why I love it so much is because it's not just like the same sound the whole way throughout. Like you got the like the heavy stuff, and then the like the acoustic stuff, pop punk stuff on it as well. Like it's well rounded, and it was a cool thing that they came out with because the album beforehand was just super metalcore, and they wanted to be like, that's not all we're about. So it's a pretty sweet album.
That's awesome, man. That's really good.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, everyone. That's our top 10 albums. I mean, we didn't want to go too in depth with it because, I mean, we're already nearly at 2 hours. I mean, if we would have gone really in depth like I wanted to with these albums, we would have a 6-hour podcast. Because I could talk about my top 3 albums for another 6 hours easy. But we hope you enjoyed it. We hope it wasn't too boring. We got into some news as well. We had some normal chat as well. But that's basically it for our 1.5 episode of Loud. We're hoping next episode we'll have a guest.
Mm-hmm.
We're not 100% about that, but we have some future guests coming up that are pretty big. I mean, I'm stoked that we're getting one of them, and you know who I'm talking about.
Do I?
He's just everyone knows him. Everyone will know of a band or a song that he's performed on. Get
hyped. There you go. Sick.
Thank you for everyone for tuning in. We're not sure what exactly when the next episode will be up, episode 2. And if there isn't a guest by the next time we want to do one, you might even be looking at 1.75. You never know.
If you stuck around this long, legit, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, and I hope you keep coming back and listening more. We really appreciate it. Before we leave, a couple more links again. That's our YouTube channel, which is no point putting up because it's got a shitty fucking URL. We've got SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/loudaltpod. We got facebook.com/loudaltpod. Please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Tomye West Drums. Basically, we got nothing else more to say. So thank you for tuning in, everyone, and have a good week. Peace.
Keep it real, man. See ya.
You know how many times the cops would be called if somebody heard the shit that comes out of my mouth? Christ, the state would have taken the kids away years ago.
We're not that lucky.
You're lucky I don't put your head through that fucking wall. And get a haircut, you look like a lesbian.